So about 7 years ago, a movie came out that changed a lot of people's opinions on the Halloween franchise, of what was the superior timeline and which version of this story was the best. I'm here to tell you guys, even though Halloween 2018 was a huge hit, Halloween H20 is way better. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Nick here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about Halloween H20 and Halloween 2018. Now, I know I've done a similar video on this before a year or so ago, but I wanted to do it more in the style of the most recent video I did, which was saying why you're wrong for hating Halloween 5. Now, you guys seem to really like that because the amount of comments I got, especially comments telling me that I was just flat out wrong, was absurd. But I love the conversation, and making a video like that is entirely the point. To get people to talk, I want you guys to hear me out, and I want to hear what you have to say. Now, it should go without saying that these are just opinions. One person might prefer Halloween 2018 over Halloween H20. That's totally fine. I'm not here to tell you what to like and what not to like. However, I do think there are some objective truths when it comes to these two movies being compared that I just think heavily weigh in the favor of Halloween H20. First and foremost, I think the thing that Halloween H20 does far better than Halloween 2018 is the handling of the Laurie Strode character. Now, this is multi-layered. See, in Halloween 2018, the only movie that existed was the original Halloween. There was nothing else in that timeline. So, Laurie Strode saw a couple of her friends die 40 years ago. Michael Myers has been incarcerated for 40 years. He's now geriatric, and she's Sarah Connor preparing for this old man after 40 years to decide to finally just break out. I don't know, kind of stretches believability. Had Halloween 2 been included in that, then maybe I could see it a little bit better, but I just don't see somebody dealing with things that way from just the events of the original Halloween, being almost 50 years later. That is absolutely insane. Now, I've talked about this before and people have said, hey, well, different people process trauma differently. You're absolutely right. But the problem is we had a far better version of this in Halloween H20. It's not about how somebody processes trauma. It's just that we had a better example of how to handle this 20 years prior. And Halloween H20, Halloween 2 still exists. So, although the events of the original Halloween are bad, they get even worse in Halloween 2. Add on top of that Laurie finds out that she is Michael Myers' sister. So not only has this man hunted her for like 24 hours and killed damn near everybody near her, but she also shares his blood. That would mess you up. And in Halloween H20, Laurie's character is very, very believable. She goes off into hiding. She secludes herself from the world. She changes her name. She moves literally across the country. She's like, I ain't going anywhere near the Midwest. She doesn't tell anybody about her past. She is sheltering her son because she's just terrified that for whatever reason her brother's going to find her. That's far more believable because in Halloween H20, Laurie's working off the belief that not only is he her brother, but they never found his body. It makes far more sense to believe that the specter of Michael Myers could pop back up when he has unfinished business and nobody ever found his body. Whereas in Halloween 2018, Michael was incarcerated. He was captured and he's been there for 40 years. Why would he wait till he's an old man to break out? Now, of course, that ends up coming true, but seriously, It's not just about the believability of the character of Laurie Strode, but it's also Jamie Lee Curtis's performance. See, in Halloween H20, she is scarred. This woman is broken. Now, to anybody on the outside, they might not really realize that because she's doing pretty well for herself. But everybody in her inner circle, they understand how much this has impacted this woman. Living off a diet of alcohol and antidepressants, Laurie is just trying to get by, but she's maintaining appearances for everybody else in her life. Meanwhile, in Halloween 2018, she just goes completely off the rails. She doesn't care. Failed marriages. I don't really have a relationship with my daughter or my granddaughter. What am I even doing with my life? How do I afford to do all of this? I don't know, but I'm doing it. As far as the performance goes, Jamie's great in both of these movies. She's an Oscar-winning actress for a reason, so she normally gives a pretty damn good performance. But I just think the character of Laurie Strode is so much more believable in H20, and I also think that there just seemed to be more life there with Jamie Lee. It seemed like she was excited to be back, to revisit this. Next up is the family aspect of things. Now, I'm just going to go on the record and say, I think that the David Gordon Green trilogy gets better handling the family members as the movies go on. But if we're just comparing H2O to 2018, I think it's pretty clear here that the family is just way better in H2O. I know it's just John Strode versus Karen and Allison, but I really think it's not even close here. In 2018, we don't get much time to know Karen at all. And when we do know Karen, she's just mean to Laurie. She treats her mother like crap. And they do try to focus some time on Allison, but it really just feels like filler, like they're trying to hit the same beats from the original Halloween. So we don't get to really know these two characters or like them. Meanwhile, in H2O, I would say that John is the second most important character after Laurie, because the belief is that, oh, he's 17, Michael's going to come for him like he did Laurie. Now, I still believe that's kind of just a coincidence, but, it makes sense and it makes him central to the story. We focus on John and his friends a lot more than we focus on Allison or Karen in Halloween 2018, and I just think that makes us like them more. Plus, Josh Hartnett is just a really good actor, and that's not to take away from Judy Greer because she's absolutely an established actress, but never really in dramatic, serious roles. She's a very good comedic actress, but I don't really know if she could pull this off, and I just don't think she did all that well in 2018. See, we have a vested interest in John because we get to know him, and we see what Laurie's parenting has done to this kid, but we also sympathize with Laurie because yeah, it's kind of believable that she would feel the way she does and treat him the way she does. She's trying to protect him, but she's being a helicopter parent to the point where eventually he's going to rebel. And he does on the night that his uncle comes to kill him. Next up is just the gravitas of the face-off, when these two finally come face to face and how it's handled. See, in 2018, it almost seems anticlimactic, and that's not necessarily the movie's fault because it was already set up against it because of H2O's existence. We'd already seen this happen before, so it was going to be watered down, whether we wanted it to be or not, no matter how well they handled it. But furthermore, when he finally does come face to face with Laurie in 2018, it just seems really uneventful. It's almost like it's this, oh, it's a home intruder. I have to kill this guy to protect myself and my home. In H2O, it is a friggin' event. One of the greatest scenes, and I've said this for years and years, in the Halloween franchise, is when Laurie grabs that axe and she is walking through the campus screaming Michael with the theme just blaring. That is one of the greatest scenes in this series because of all the weight from the previous movies leading up to this. 20 years since these two have come face to face in their time, but in our time it was 17 years. But still, we were ready for this moment. We were hyped for this moment. And when they come face to face, they have a moment. It's face to face, eye contact. Laurie is frozen in time. She cannot believe that she's seeing the boogeyman that she saw 20 years ago in her face. He's here. He made it across the country to get her. It just feels so much more eventful. It's so much more important. And then when they actually have their showdown, it just feels so much more emotional. Yes, Laurie is defending herself, but it feels personal. And then by the end of it, it almost feels like she doesn't want to do this. She feels bad for this. She almost wishes they could have had a normal relationship. It's just so multi-layered. And I think that has to do with Jamie Lee's performance in this movie. And it makes it that much more believable because we have the history of Halloween 2 being included in the timeline when we're watching Halloween H2O. Halloween 2018 simply just feels like a reunion. It doesn't really feel like there's a lot behind it. It doesn't feel as important. It doesn't feel like a moment in time, which is ironic because it was. It made a ton of money. But ask anybody that was there when they first saw H2O in the late 90s and then when they saw 2018, what felt more important? That face-off, that meeting? It's absolutely Halloween H2O. It just feels like it matters so much more. Another thing that H2O does really well is the supporting cast. Now, while we don't get to know a ton of them, the ones we do get to know, we actually like them quite a bit. Adam Arkin, I like him in this movie. I think he's funny, and I think that he's a nice partner for Laurie. I think he does care. I think he does want to do his best. LL Cool J, this is one of those instances where you cast a rapper and it actually works. He has chops. He can act. He's funny. He's infectious. You want this guy to live. Even Josh Hartnett's friend group, while we don't get to know a lot of them, they're fun, they're harmless, there's nothing to dislike about them. And in Halloween 2018, again, like I said with Allison and Karen, you don't get to know them a lot, and the time spent on them, you don't even really get to like them. Karen intentionally, like that was a choice. You've got Sartain, that's this Loomis ripoff that, oh, well, we're going to make this big twist with his character in the third act, so you can't say he's a Loomis ripoff. Oh, isn't that crazy? Not only does he come across as a ripoff, but the twist is stupid. Like, it's really dumb. I remember being in the theater and being like, we're doing this, huh? Don't care about Cameron in this movie, though I really like him in Halloween Kills. He absolutely redeemed himself. They wrote him better, they gave him more to do, but he's a nothing character in this movie that you could give a shit less about. Now, I like Will Patton as Officer Hawkins. He's really good, but I think the supporting cast in H2O is just way better. Look, there's things that Halloween 2018 does far better than H2O. The atmosphere, the music, the mask. There are improvements made upon a lot of these Halloween sequels in Halloween 2018. We just can't argue that. But trying to sell me on this reunion, this event, this face-to-face after 40 years, this emotional baggage we've carried for so long that's going to be released, I just couldn't get there because I'd seen it 20 years prior and I felt all of that 20 years prior. So while it was cool to see Jamie Lee come back and face off against Michael Myers again, it almost didn't feel like it mattered as much. She wasn't his sister anymore. We were told Halloween 2 didn't exist anymore. Hell, we were told all the sequels didn't exist anymore. And to me, that's just not the timeline that I want to choose. Now, it's ironic because I love Halloween Ends. It's one of my favorite Halloween movies. But if you'll notice, Halloween Ends does something entirely different with the character of Laurie Strode than Halloween 2018. And I think that's another reason why I liked it so much. Halloween 2018 just feels like it's cribbing way too closely off of something that was done 20 years prior. Something that was an event at the time. Something that brought your mom, your grandma back to the theater because they wanted to see this showdown because they grew up on that movie. When I talked to my mom, she said, oh yeah, the only good Halloween movies are Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O. That's what she told me as a teenager. Because why? Those were the ones that mattered. After that, it was just a bunch of this and that. Nobody really cared except for us sickos that love the Halloween series. But that's just the truth of the matter. They had already peaked when it came to bringing these two face to face again 20 years before Halloween 2018. And the movie was just never going to live up to that. Now, you may say you prefer 2018. You may say it's a better made movie. I won't argue with you. But I do think that it's almost objectively true that it just doesn't carry the weight that H2O did. And I don't think it was ever going to. They were up against it. And personally, when I decide what version of Laurie Strode meeting Michael Myers again that I want to watch, it's Halloween H2O. It always has been. It always will be. But I want to know down in the comment section what you guys think. Do you think that Halloween H2O is a better movie, or do you think Halloween 2018 is a better movie? Whichever the answer is to that question, well, that's kind of secondary to the larger question, which is the reunion, is the impactfulness stronger in Halloween H2O than it is in Halloween 2018? Whatever it is, I want to hear it down below in the comments section. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.